Masters of the Air, are you still watching? Are you still enjoying it? Episodes 6 and 7. Or wanted to kind of hit you up on some thoughts here because I feel like it's the kind of show it's going to end. Let's say you're at episode 10 and you are like, I think it could have been 8 episodes, or I think it could have been six, right? We've had one kind of filler episode. Really, 6 and 7 have diverted so far away from flying and action. And this is really more about interpersonal relationships. We kind of get like sort of like sidetrack into little subplots that I'm not sure we're really married to. I think this is the stuff that should have been interwoven into actions and missions and things that we really, really care more about. Like, I don't know the true story of Crosby, who's our narrator, our main character, essentially, if he ended up cheating on his wife and having an affair with, I don't know, this London lady who, and I got to be honest, could be a spy for all I know. I don't know if Buck and Bucky ended up in the same German prison Stalag. I don't know. Like, it's one of these things where I like elements of it. I like it showcasing elements of the war, but at the same time, I'm sort of like, can we get back with it? Can we get on with it? And I also want to say, and I want to touch on a few more things, but I am really disappointed that Rosenthal, Major Rosie, is not been flushed out, that we care more about him. He's kind of been portrayed as sort of like this stoic pilot. He, of course, had the 3 missions in 3 days. He was sent away because of the amount of loss that they had. His plane was the only one that made it in. And this guy who gets through his 25 flights, he has a chance to retire and head back to Florida or become a teacher or whatever. And instead he re-ups. And his story and legacy, I had to look it up and kind of see what's going on. It is crazy. This guy has going on to like over 50 missions. He is like a total goat in the grand scheme of things. And yet his character is sort of like underwhelming in this show. So let's do a little bit here. This is episode 7. Because we end up with the fact that we see Buck go down, and now we have Buck and Bucky reunited there at the camp, and they're kind of working side by side as sort of quasi leaders amongst the other prisoners. Where Buck is like, he has some skills from his childhood where he can kind of create like a shortwave radio and kind of pick up transmissions, find out what's going on in the world, and yet at the same time things are sort of like unraveling around them and unpacking around them. There's an escape at one point and things like that. In back home, it's sort of like this mixed bag of emotions. People that are coming home. There's a comment in one of the episodes about tiptoeing around the ghosts, right? All the men that don't come home. Every plane that goes down is 10 people. They lose 15 planes in one mission. That's 150 soldiers. I think that's the Black Monday mission. And you have new people. You have Rosenthal and his team. You have sort of like this compare and contrast of how the war effort is playing out. But what they do is they just kind of give you a lot of that with a prisoner of war thing. Like literally, like the soldiers that are here still going out on missions and what their life is like. They go to these parties. They have this like downtime. They were sent on retreats. They're doing this everything. Meanwhile, the actual soldiers who go down behind enemy lines are going through rigorous extreme. Now, I wouldn't say torture, but torturous circumstances. So there's a quick line that kind of comes and goes about, they know we have some of their pilots, they have ours. They're treated reasonably well. In other words, they're not beaten and tortured, but at the same time they're living on gruel and horrible conditions and things like that. One of them, I think, there's like a little scuff up, and one of them gets shot and it creates some chaos. But back home, the mission's coming together. They're going to send out some more folks. There's great celebration where Rosenthal gets to his point, things like that. And he's really kind of an unsung hero. I know all of the show at this point really has centered around Buck and Bucky. Yet at the same time, I feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity to not have Rosenthal's reputation and his skills sort of like highlighted more. Like, we've seen him in the air a couple of times. He is the one plane that makes it back from the one mission. But do any of you really, really feel engaged to the Rosenthal character, really connected to this emotional journey that he's on? Is like this hero, this person that we should all know by name. And even though it's part of this story and it's being highlighted, I still don't think it comes to the forefront of everyone's mind. So what I do like is the latter half of part 7 is them going back up in the air. They talk about the Mustangs, the P-51 Mustangs, and the Game Changer having these planes in the war. it just changes. Here's the celebration for Rosenthal. He's going to go back up, and then I want to get to the end of the episode, because the end of the episode was really the play. This is him deciding he's going to stay back in, and this is where the money shot is, with having these other planes be the game changer. I don't dislike the show. Again, this is still like it's a solid B for me. It kind of moves between B plus and B minus. It's a lot of missed opportunities, in my opinion. Certain episodes, I think, drift down into the C range. Other episodes early on were great. I think we'll probably finish strong. I think the creative teams I didn't look at the actual writers and directors of every single episode, but my thought is that the final episode will probably have a very strong finish. It'll probably be something that really sets up. You should hopefully will set up you wanting more stories and that kind of thing. I actually looked it up, and I think there's only 9 episodes, but it's going to be the kind of thing where you can think now, there easily could have been 6. You know what I mean? I don't know. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear from you. I don't want to compare it to Band of Brothers Pacific anymore. Completely different tone, completely different sort of perspective of war, the machinery, the technology, the evolution, and happening really, really fast. Obviously, I think that once you start to see the shift here in the latter half of the war, it is portrayed pretty well on the show, and I really do like that. So for the most part, I consider the show to be very, very strong, very solid, but definitely not a legacy show where you're going to be like, oh, it's pretty good, but not like the kind of thing where you people talk about B.O.B. Band of Brothers. Go, oh my gosh, it's one of the best ever. So that's my take on it. Love to hear from you. Let me hear your thoughts on going forward. We have a couple more episodes left. Are you watching? Are you not watching? Are you just kind of checking in and out on it, dipping in and out? Let me know. I am Pops.